So ARK Survival Ascended is about to completely change forever, and honestly I don't think people realise just how massive this upcoming DLC actually is. Because alongside the free Genesis Ascended Part 1 map, Wildcard are releasing something that feels way bigger than just another creature pack. We are getting Bob's True Tales Tides of Fortune. A full pirate-themed expansion built around ocean survival, giant ships, naval warfare, mysterious sea creatures, and mechanics inspired directly by Atlas. And if Wildcard actually pull this off correctly, this could become one of the biggest gameplay changes in ARK history. Today we're going to be breaking down the ships, the creatures, the lore, the mechanics from Atlas, the risks, and why this feels like, this is honestly something ARK has never attempted before. This feels like Wildcard are trying to reinvent ARK's oceans forever. And if you're going to be looking for a place to play this absolutely free and being with a chance to win a Bob's True Tales key, come and join us over in the LoadedCrysis cluster. We have an amazing community, all the maps, and Genesis Part 1 will be launching completely on day 1. The link to our Discord is down below. The servers will always be free and never change. So if you're actually wondering what is Bob's True Tales Tides of Fortune, well, it is officially the follow-up to Bob's Tall Tales, and if you remember that expansion, Bob's Tall Tales became way bigger than most people actually expected. We got steampunk technology, trains, airships, battle rigs, exclusive cosmetics, new lore, entire gameplay systems, and honestly it ended up feeling less like a simple DLC and more like a complete side adventure happening along the main ARK story. And Wildcard are now taking things even further, because Wildcard are openly bringing ideas from Atlas into ARK Survival Ascended. And for those who've never played Atlas, Atlas was basically Pirate ARK. Huge oceans, massive ships, naval warfare, cannons, treasure hunting, sea exploration, crew systems, storms, ocean survival. And while Atlas had some incredible ideas, it was also brutally punishing, like generally exhausting at times, because building ships could take forever, losing them felt horrible, and huge parts of the player base eventually gave up. But now Wildcard seem to be saying, what if we took the best parts of Atlas and rebuilt them inside of ARK? And I think that sounds incredible, because ocean gameplay has always felt underused in ARK. Most players spend 90% of their time on land, the oceans always felt dangerous but never truly alive, and that may be finally changing. So yes, real pirate ships are coming to ARK Survival Ascended, and we're talking fully customizable ships. Ships with mounted cannons, ships capable of transporting dinosaurs, ships that tribes can literally turn into floating mobile bases, and this is the feature I'm probably most excited for, because imagine for a second that you're sailing across the Genesis ocean biome with your tribe, which by the way is a map-sized ocean biome, fog rolling across the water, cannons loaded, creatures on board, massive waves crashing around your ship, and then suddenly another tribe appears in the distance. That sounds absolutely insane for ARK, and yeah, I really can't wait to see that, especially if you're on PvP. And we know that we're going to be getting random islands, ocean fortresses, treasure locations, naval encounters, hidden caves, sea monsters such as the paleo octopus, an entire PvP fleet battling across the ocean. And if Wildcard really bring over the best parts of Atlas, this could completely transform unofficial servers. You could imagine what we can do with the RP servers, pirate factions, bounty hunters, trade ships, ocean wars, community events, treasure hunts, and this is literally everything we have planned for the LoadedCrysis cluster, and this DLC feels like it's built for content creation. Another thing obviously a lot of people are sleeping on and might not know is the actual ocean physics, because this is apparently another major system inspired by Atlas. Dynamic waves, real ship movement, better water interaction, storm systems, and honestly from the early footage and screenshots, the ocean already looks way more alive than the current ARK oceans do. And the one thing that is really important here is the accessibility, because one of the biggest problems with Atlas was how insanely grindy it became. And Wildcard are saying they specifically want Tides of the Fortune to be more accessible while keeping the pirate survival fantasy alive, which I think could become one of the most replayable systems ARK has ever introduced. And now obviously we have the brand new creatures, and if you want to see every single creature we know so far, you can go and check out my last video on Genesis that we did, but the Tide Pup looks absolutely adorable. It sounds way more important than people realise as well, because it's a support focused companion capable of healing players and creatures, and eventually it will grow into a larger amphibious mount and you can change between the two of them, which becomes insanely useful during the ocean gameplay for underwater combat, naval battles, long exploration journeys, and support creatures in ARK are usually way stronger than they actually first appear. And then obviously the Kraken, which is a paleo octopus, and this has been teased and discussed in the community for ages, which will actually be free. You won't have to pay for this one. This is a community creation, so you don't actually need this Bob's True Tales DLC, but it will be arriving alongside Genesis Ascended. Now, we still fully don't know completely how dangerous this creature will be because we've had no gameplay, but we do know that, it's going to be pretty terrifying, and it is going to be hiding in the corners of the ocean, and it will grab you, and it will be able to climb up rocks. Now imagine sailing through a storm at night, visibility almost gone, waves smashing against your ship, and then suddenly giant tentacles begin wrapping around the sides of the boat, and that is the type of cinematic gameplay ARK desperately needs more of, because Wildcard leaning fully into the horror side of ocean gameplay will make it kind of feel more terrifying, a bit more like Subnautica. And also remember, Bob's True Tales is continuing the storyline from Bob's Tall Tales, and I generally think Wildcard know players care about the ARK lore more than ever before, especially after all the recent reveals surrounding Arat Prime and Lost Colony and the future of the ARK universe. And apparently Tides of Fortune is going to evolve mysterious ancient locations connected to Genesis simulations and hidden secrets buried beneath the oceans. And this is why I think this DLC matters more than people realise, because it isn't just pirate gameplay, it feels like the setup for future ARK lore, future expansions, and potentially even ARK 2 connections later on. I love how this DLC feels different compared to the previous ARK content. Obviously Scorched Earth had its western vibes, Aberration has its steampunk, and Extinction felt kind of like Mad Max. And now Tides of the Fortune feels like a full pirate fantasy survival. That variety is honestly one of ARK's greatest strengths with the launch of ARK Survival Ascended, and no other kind of survival game constantly reinvents itself like this. If Wildcard pull this off correctly, then Genesis Ascended Part 1 may generally feel like a completely fresh survival experience, which is what they did try to do with Lost Colony, but it kinda worked but had many issues. We do obviously need to be realistic here because it's an extremely ambitious update, and when we talked about Lost Colony, there were many issues like I said. We have large ships, ocean physics, naval combat, the massive ocean biome, new sea creature mechanics, potential world events, huge moving structures online. This is a lot, and anytime Wildcard attempts something this ambitious, the community naturally gets nervous because we all know how ARK launches can go sometimes. Server lag, crashes, duping, balance problems, desync, ocean bugs, and honestly, naval PvP especially could become incredibly difficult for Wildcard to balance. And imagine getting offline raided by an entire pirate fleet at 3 AM. That sounds both amazing and absolutely horrifying. And the ship balancing itself could become chaos. What happens if giant tribes completely dominate the oceans? What happens if ships become impossible to destroy or too easy to destroy? These are many things Wildcard need to get right here, and this DLC probably has more pressure on it than the most ARK updates ever have, because players will notice this kind of stuff eventually, as we will be diving straight into the seas, as the ocean gameplay is one of the things we're most excited about, and is most kind of promoted within this Tides of the Fortune. Well, the reason why I'm personally so excited for this DLC, because for years, players have wanted the oceans to matter more, and now Wildcard are finally making the ocean one of the main focuses of ARK gameplay. This is a massive shift. This doesn't feel like a simple remaster, this feels like a completely new survival experience, and some people may even decide to call it Atlas 2. And if Genesis Ascended Part 1 launches in a good state, summer 2026 for ARK could become a pretty amazing one to remember. You know, think about everything we're getting from the new creatures and of course the returning creatures, the new lore, which links a lot to ARK 2. Massive ocean gameplay, the ships, the cannons, the exploration, the sea monsters, the Genesis missions, which obviously we don't know what's happening with the Genesis missions right now, because a lot of people didn't like the old ones, and Studio Wildcard openly admitted themselves that they did not like the old Genesis missions whatsoever, and they wanted to completely revamp them and make them better. So if you're not a fan of the Genesis missions, Studio Wildcard may completely scrap them and build them into something else, or they're going to be completely revamped from the ground up, which is something they told us about like in the early days that this entire game launched. So this could be good news in that side of thing. And of course, there's a ton of hidden secrets that Wildcard haven't shown us yet, and I think some of the first gigantic tribe naval wars are going to become some of the most iconic moments in ARK history, and I plan to get lots of that recorded over in the LoadedCrysis cluster. Imagine dozens of players battling across the ocean, cannons firing everywhere, probably lagging, creatures jumping between ships, storms overhead, kraken attacks. It sounds like absolute cinema. And for the first ever time, I would say properly in history, the ocean no longer feels like a dangerous side area. It's going to feel like an entire world of gameplay. But I want to know what you think. Are you going to be excited for Bob's True Tales Tides of the Fortune? Do you think that the pirate gameplay can belong in ARK, and what are you most hyped for? The ships, the Kraken, the Tide Pup, or just the Genesis Ascended DLC itself? But anyway guys, if you did enjoy today's video, feel free to drop a like, and if you are interested in joining us in the LoadedCrysis cluster for free ARK servers, the link will always be in the description down below to our Discord. It's going to be a fun day to remember. We're less than a month away now. It is launching on the 25th of June 2026. Be prepared, and I'm super excited.